Hello and welcome to the work in progress video for the Advanced Interactive Media Development module. In this video we will be looking at a character that I have created for the coursework. Starting in Motion Builder, you will see our model called Remy, a download from Mixamo along with the useful animations attached to him, as in the animations are from Mixamo as well. As per the usual sequence, he was characterized, plotted to a control rig, following which a reference node and floor plane were attached. After this setup, 3 animations were added: an idle animation, a sitting animation, and a victory animation, which we are going to take a look at here. First, taking a look at our idle animation. It's a runtime of 192 frames. This will be Remy's default animation in Unity. As you can see, there isn't much change between the two on start and end phase. Now we move on to a slightly longer animation clip, Remy's talking animation. If this proves to be slightly inconvenient in the future, I may trim it down to size. Unfortunately, this clip came. The start and end frames didn't match up with each other, and as such, a character additive frame was added of Remy's usual pose in the Remy's start pose in the sitting idle animation, and the start and end frames were normalized. However, due to an error on my part, the clip was deleted before this recording started. However, if you look at the process track from start to end, there's little change as well. However, you might notice a minor difference between the idle animation and the talking animation in terms of the foot position. Unfortunately, there were some position changes that I was unable to fully account for, though I did my best to minimize the impact as much as possible. This is just a small sample of the talking animation. And moving on to our third animation, the victory animation. This is presented in its raw form with the character additive track as well. This track runs for 168 frames. It looks a little something like cancel, that. As to this animation's function, you will see when we move on to Unity. And of course, a little further below we have the processed result. Anyway, moving on to Unity. As a side note, if you viewed my previous submission for tutorial 5, unfortunately not in the form of a video, you may have noticed that I used the Paladin J. Nordstrom model along with some other animations. Unfortunately, some errors occurred after attempts made to convert that project into an uploadable format for Blackboard, and a great deal of progress was lost. However, that model and those animations are still planned sections for the final version. In terms of storyboarding, I have decided that the player will have the role of a waiter, with the key flow being the player receiving an order from a customer and relaying that order to the kitchen staff, most likely where the Paladin model will come in. In this instance, Remy is a customer, and it is possible that the Malcolm model may be used in the future as well. In our current scene, you can see Remy standing through a cube. This cube will be replaced by a chair in the future. As far as our main flow goes, once the game starts, stepping on this red trigger here will start our first interaction with Remy. Remy appears as a customer, saying that he would like to place his order. Single menu option. Remy places his order. Once Remy has done so, this brown trigger appears. Stepping on the brown trigger gives us a message of order collected. Now if you step back here, Remy has received his order and he does the victory animation. In terms of how it flows, the customer trigger box contains the customer trigger flowchart. The flowchart activates once the trigger is stepped into and Start Customer Event 1 is played. It sends the customer start message to all flowcharts, which goes here. In the primary customer interaction flowchart, there's a variable, a Boolean variable, food collected, which is currently set to false. If the food collected variable is set to false, it sets the customer animation to talking and it starts the first set of blocks where the customer gives his order to our waiter. Once that is done, it sends the message reset customer trigger, which is picked up by the currently still active customer trigger flowchart, and it activates the brown trigger that you saw earlier where we can collect our food, and it deactivates the customer trigger flowchart so that it can be reactivated once the player character steps on the trigger again. Once the brown trigger is activated, this flowchart will play once the player steps into the brown trigger. The order collected message will come up and it will send a message to switch customer state, which reaches the primary customer interaction block, the switch state block inside the primary customer interaction flowchart, which will then switch the food collected state to true, so that when our player once again steps on the red trigger, the second animation state will play. And that concludes this video. I hope you enjoyed watching it. Thank you.